Made in the USA, Socialism for the Rich, Capitalism for the Rest. And thank you, Tom, for joining us. In very many ways, I think your column speaks to what we've seen happen in the markets this week and what this Red Army, in fact, believes and what they're fighting against.
Well, Andrew, I see the whole thing is like I'm watching a giant National Geographic nature film. This is how I would actually explain it to a young person who's trying to understand what happened. I mean, like a 5-year-old. First, there were these people called lions. They're long sellers, and they they noticed a wildebeest that seemed to be hobbling. It was called GME stock, and they ate it. This stock was once $63, went down to $4. Then along came the hyenas. They're called short sellers, and they fed off the carcass of GME. And these hyenas, they're magical hyenas, they actually made the carcass grow 50% larger than it really was. Then along came a group called short squeezers, a whole new group, okay? And they were vultures who ate the hyenas, basically. And the really smart vultures ate and flew away when the stock was $500. The dumb ones are going to stick around and keep eating. And in the end, the lions will come along and eat them, and the stock will eventually go back to $4 or $5. It's the circle of life. Hakuna Matata, baby.
I'm saving this clip. You've explained it in a way that my 4-year-old would understand, and I think you've done a brilliant job at that. What do you think it says, though, Tom, about this moment that we're in? Because it speaks to, in some ways, about issues that are far broader than the stock market unto itself. Clearly, the folks who are playing in this and trading in this are not necessarily doing it for traditional investment reasons.
Yeah, well, what you see here, Andrew, is a phenomenon we've seen everywhere. So back in 1999, I wrote a book called Lexus and the Olive Tree. And in that book, I sort of defined two things. One is I defined cyberspace as a realm where we're all connected, but no one's in charge, okay? And I said that in this cyberspace, you can create electronic herds, and you can get super empowered individuals and small groups. In fact, I coined this phrase, the super empowered angry man, who back in 1999, I identified as a guy named Osama bin Laden. Now, what happens is this is democratizing everything. So you and I know that the news business got democratized by this thing. So with this thing, anyone now can be a paparazzi, a filmmaker, a publisher, or a newspaper. And the whole news business got democratized. There used to be the New York Times, and now there's BuzzFeed and Medium and everything else, So what we're seeing here is the democratization of finance. Suddenly now, with Robinhood and these tools, anyone can now be a short squeezer. A year ago, only Carl Icahn could be a short squeezer against Bill Ackman. Now we've seen the democratization of short squeezing. Now, the bigger question, I think, Andrew, is what happened when cyberspace first emerged back in the 90s after Netscape went public. We looked at it and said, well, it's kind of a cute place. There's a guy named Jeff Bezos out there, and he can sell books and not pay sales tax. And that was kind of the biggest issue. But what's happened now in cyberspace is it's developed its own currency called Bitcoin. It's developed its own transmission information systems that are encrypted called Telegram. It's developed its own news sources. And these are all, and many of them, outside the scope of government. So look around the world, and you guys have been reporting this. You got sort of three models out there. The Chinese said, oh, no. We are not going to allow an independent space where you can have your own currency, your own encrypted telecommunications, and your own news system. What happened in China in January when they went after Alibaba was very important. The Chinese basically said, we would rather have Alibaba be a second-rate global company and under our control than Alibaba be a first-rate global company and out of our control, okay? So China basically said, there ain't going to be no cyberspace. Russia's the other extreme. You got Putin. He has a foot in both spaces, cyber and the terrestrial world. In America now, because we do everything sort of laissez-faire, we kind of let it all happen. And then we try to regulate it afterwards to try to find some hybrid balance. And I think that's the process we're in now around news with Facebook and Twitter, and now around markets. That's basically what I see happening.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching. See you.